When I first started making videos on YouTube, one of the biggest things that I struggled with was feeling confident talking to camera and also appearing natural. I had this vision built up in my head of how I thought things would flow and how it would be super easy, but the second I hit the record button, all of that would fly out the window. I would just be so awkward or feel awkward, and I feel like it was starting to come off like that on camera as well. Maybe you can relate. But the good news is that over the course of filming over 500 videos for YouTube, I've gotten really comfortable on camera. Like, it doesn't really bother me anymore. And the more that I think about my journey of how I got here, I came up with 7 tips that I think will help you out to at least feel and appear more confident on camera, even if you really don't inside. My first tip is to be comfortable. That means filming somewhere where you feel comfortable, as well as making sure you're wearing clothing that makes you feel comfortable. All of that really matters. Let's talk about the environment first. There's a reason why I'm introducing this video in my car. I feel very comfortable in my car. Like, there's no one around. If I'm talking, like, no one can really hear me. So be somewhere that makes you feel comfortable, whether it's your car, in your house. If you don't feel comfortable filming in front of other people or in public, don't start off filming in public. Build up to that later on. I have another video with tips about how to film yourself in public, but definitely if just talking to camera is making you feel nervous, then don't add that element of other people around you to start off with. The other part to that was making sure that you look and feel confident. I actually think it's a good thing that filming myself has made me more self-aware, made me care more about my appearance. You know, you still won't find me running around in a dress, but I at least try to make myself look composed. I kind of liken it to a job interview. Like, whenever even if I'm doing like a phone screener or just like a Zoom call, I always dress from head to toe like I'm going to an actual job interview. And my husband teases me about this because he says he never even thinks about that. He just wears whatever, doesn't really impact him. Some of you all might be like him, where it doesn't really matter like how you look or what you're wearing. It doesn't impact how you come off in your head or how you speak. But for me personally, it does. So definitely take your appearance into consideration. Now, related to filming somewhere that makes you feel comfortable, you may also want to think about changing up your setting for each different point that you want to make. Because just getting out and changing the environment will help jog your memory or just give you inspiration to talk about other things. And for the viewer, it makes it more visually interesting. So consider not just filming in one spot, but moving around. My next tip is to be confident and passionate about whatever it is that you're talking about. If you were to ask me right now about, what's the state of the union, I very unfortunately would not have a good answer for you. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that subject because it's not something that I'm confident in, and I honestly don't care about it. But if you were to ask me, what's a good beginner camera for someone to start out with? I would say start with your cell phone because it's the one you have with you, or invest in the DJI Pocket 3 because that's the camera that I'm filming on right now, and it's very user-friendly. So you can see that there's quite a difference in talking about something that you're confident in and you care about versus something that you're not. Now, even if you are confident about something, you still should take some time to organize your thoughts before you hit the record button. There are some people that can hit record and just speak off the cuff and film the perfect one-take video, but honestly, that's not very many of us. I am definitely not one of those people. I actually spend at least an hour, sometimes up to 2 or even 3 hours in pre-production, just doing research and listing out the points that I want to make in a video. So that's how important it is for you to really start thinking about the subject matter before you even start filming. So my next tip, the controversial one, is to use a script. Or don't. It's controversial because if you watch some of these other tip videos about how to talk to camera, a lot of the common advice is to not use a script and to treat the camera like a friend. And while I think that's valid and there's a time and a place to do that, I also think that there's a time and a place to use a script. And I'll be honest that a majority of the videos on this tech channel are scripted. I used to be so anti-scripting, I didn't like it. because I thought it wouldn't appear very natural, but there is a way to read off a script to make that feel natural. But the main reason why I've started scripting is because a lot of my tech videos in particular are super focused on, these little details that I can't just make up. They're about camera specs, they're about how to use a product. And those are things that, it just helps me a lot to have it scripted out. It also saves me a lot of time when I'm filming because I have very limited time to film. I have a 3-year-old and I just have to film whenever I have the time to do it. So I've got to make my filming time more efficient. And one way to do that is by scripting. Another reason why I say scripting is a good thing is for those of you that just struggle to get your thoughts out. Like, you have a lot to say on a subject, you are really passionate and confident about it, but when you hit record and start talking, you kind of just talk, and then after a while you're kind of not even sure what the point is that you're trying to make. So if that's you, if you have a hard time kind of collecting your thoughts while talking to the camera, or you're just finding a hard time figuring out how to get your points across, then scripting can really help with that. You don't even have to read off of the script for the entire video. Like for this video, it's not scripted, but I heavily bullet pointed it out so that I knew my talking points and that I could stick to them. My next tip is to consider the difference between talking to the camera versus talking on camera. I think for a lot of us, the whole reason why we start to get nervous when we're talking to a camera is because we're staring at this machine that isn't giving us any emotional feedback, and it just doesn't feel natural. So one way to get past that is you have to practice to get used to the fact that yes, you are going to be staring directly at this machine talking to it, but to start to envision it as more than just a camera. Start to think about who is going to be watching your video and have that person in mind. Rather than think of a bunch of people, try to think of one specific person that you want this video to reach and what it is that you want to convey to them. For me specifically, here on this tech channel, I'm targeting beginners, people that don't really know how to use cameras, people that are just getting started with them. So I think of my mom as my target audience. I try to think of, okay, if I was going to explain this camera to my mom, how would I teach her about why she should buy it, how it works, what are the simplest terms that I could use to do that? And so having that specific person in mind is really going to help you focus your thoughts and get past the fact that you're talking to a camera and rather that you're talking on camera. This helps you a lot as you're actually talking on camera, but think about it in that pre-production phase as well, as you're planning out your bullet points and what you're going to say and how you're going to say them. Or especially if you're scripting, try to use the language that the person on the other side of this video is really going to resonate with. Oh, and here's a little bonus tip about talking to the camera. This is a question I get a lot whenever I'm filming someone or taking a photo of them. They're like, where should I look? And the answer is always, if you're in front of the camera, you want to look directly into the lens. Don't look at the selfie screen. That's what I'm doing right now, and it might be obvious that I'm doing it. But if I look directly at the lens, that's like making eye contact with my audience. So try to keep that in mind. My next tip is to not get caught up in perfection. I see this a lot with photographers in particular, but also some videographers. But a lot of folks don't want to get started filming just because they feel like everything needs to be perfect. Whether that's how they look, how the lighting is in their video, the exact camera gear that they're using. They just think everything needs to look and sound perfect. And sure, there are some kinds of videos out there, depending on your goal of the video making, that maybe that's valid. Maybe you do need to have everything look super professional. If you're watching this video though, I'm going to assume that you're not one of those people and that you're probably a solo content creator, like I am, and there's nothing wrong with that. But don't let this idea of needing everything to be perfect hold you back from making your videos. To be perfectly honest, your first few videos will probably suck. I mean, a lot of mine did. Some of them are still up. I've taken some down because they're that embarrassing when I go back to look at them. But you have to start from somewhere. And what's more important is to just start rather than making everything perfect. Another reason why it's okay to not strive for perfection as a content creator is for this idea of authenticity and appearing natural. There's now this pushback against these like overproduced videos that feel too, almost generic after a while because they don't have that authenticity. And one way to get around that is to be okay with some imperfections. If there's a flaw in your video, consider leaving it in, maybe making a blooper reel out of it. And, if you're in a messy car or a messy house, maybe consider adding that in because it makes you appear more human. The degree of messiness or naturalness that you want to add to your video is going to vary according to your comfort level. But the whole point is, don't make it perfect to begin with, just start. Okay, we're reaching my last couple of tips here. The next one is to watch yourself. Watch the videos that you make. You don't have to watch every single one of them, but you should watch at least a few of them. Like, you have to see how it is that you're actually coming off versus how you think you're coming off. And like I mentioned in the beginning, this helped me a lot with my appearance. Another thing I became really self-aware of as I was watching myself back on video was my energy levels. In my head, I thought I was coming off as really approachable and energetic, and then I'd watch these videos back and realize that, hey, I'm not even smiling. Like, it looks like I'm miserable. So it taught me to really mind my energy levels. And that's something that, you don't always know until you're looking at the mirror, watching yourself back. But don't just judge yourself. Ask other people to watch the videos and give you feedback. In the beginning, you might want to start with your close friends and family. And the only thing is, though, you have to be a little aware of the kinds of feedback that they give you, because I find that your friends and family don't necessarily want to be honest with you. They just want to, make you feel more confident. So they may not give you the most honest feedback. Or they might. You might have the kind of friends and family that will do that for you. But just be aware that you may not get the most honest feedback if you ask those people. So still ask for feedback, but you'll get the best feedback when you actually publish those videos and other people who don't know you find them. So you might want to do this in moderation in the beginning, but still, getting those initial comments will give you a good sense of how people are actually receiving the video and the feedback that they have. And sure, there are some trolls out there that you might want to dismiss, but still, you can get some really good feedback just from comments. So try doing that to analyze how you're coming off on camera. And the final tip that I have for you is to practice, practice, practice. Talking to the camera and recording yourself on video is a learned habit, I think, for like 99% of people. Very few people are going to do it perfectly to begin with. And even then, I'm actually convinced that they spent a lot of time practicing before they actually got to that point of being able to talk off the cuff comfortably on camera. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. Trust me, I was one of those people where 500 videos ago, I did not even want to be on camera. When I started this YouTube channel, I was convinced that I was going to be the producer. I was going to be behind the camera. I was going to film my husband. He was going to be the, representative of our channel because he's so good on camera. And I was never going to be on camera. 500 videos later, I am in a majority of those videos. So it's something that I've learned to embrace. I actually really enjoy doing it now. So the more you do it, the easier it gets. And the only way that you can do that is just by practicing, doing it over and over again. Anyway, that is all I have for you today. This is a slightly different video than I normally do in this channel. Normally I am doing a product review, I'm doing a product setup guide. But as much as I like doing those videos, I want to do more of these where I just talk to camera, I share my how-to tips and tutorials to actually use the gear that I'm convincing you guys to buy. And so let me know what you think. This is one of my first videos doing this. So let me know your feedback. I honestly want to know, do you like this format? Should I keep going? What are some other topics I should cover? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.